Namaskar. Welcome to the part 2 video on the important points and rules in the progeny prospects. Now let us study the remaining rules and points in the progeny prospects in this video. Rules and important points, part 2 video. Other rules and points we are going to discuss in this part. Now let us check the other rules. No progeny in the destiny. In the previous part, we were discussing that destiny is promised and other rules and points and related to that we discussed. Here, no progeny is indicated in the destiny. What are the rules? If the fifth cuspal sublot, that is destiny planet, is strongly signifying 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 grouping of houses without favorable grouping of houses. Please understand, not required the fifth sublot should have all these house grouping. In the absence of the favorable grouping, presence of these grouping of any of these combinations, if they are present at the star level, sublevel, can have all this grouping also. If they are having this unfavorable grouping without the favorable grouping of houses, it indicates that native is not destined to have a child. Along with that, if Gemini, Leo, or Virgo sign also involved, they will further support for this, because these signs are all barren signs. Please understand, it is not mandatory that for such a denial, for the absence of destiny, it not required that Gemini, Leo, Virgo signs should play a role. If they are also playing role, that will support further. Moreover, for the progeny, even in the absence of detrimental fourth house, presence of unfavorable house grouping of these 6, 8, 10, 12 houses signified by the fifth cuspal sublot will cause strong obstacles and troubles in the progeny matters. For example, fifth cuspal sublot in the star and sublot, it is having unfavorable grouping. Suppose 6th house, 8th house, 10 and 12 grouping are present at the star level, sublevel, or combinedly they are having. There is no fourth house. Absence of the primary unfavorable house 4 is not present does not mean that it is not going to be weak. But fifth house is going to experience these unfavorable houses. It will not favor, it can cause obstacles and troubles in the progeny matters. In this, if the absence of favorable grouping, either ruler or in the supports, then unfavorable strength is going to be strongly present. Suppose the running dasa also having these unfavorable key planets which are ruling the that destiny planet, if they are strongly influencing the dasa, so definitely dasa lords also will not favor for the progeny. So it is not that fourth house it is mandatory, and fourth house alone is present, is not going to be weak. Four present, not present, but unfavorable other present, that is also can cause obstacles in the progeny. Next one is abortion or miscarriage. Fifth house being the lagna, that is life of the child, the unfavorable houses 8, 10, 12, 4 will be 4th house, 6th house, 8th house, and 12th house counted from the 5th house. If you take the 5th house as the lagna of the child or the pregnancy, if you calculate these 4, 6, 8, 12 houses counted from the 5th house, they will be 8, 10, 12, 4 houses. In general, for lagna, even for our lagna also, if lagna in the lagna sublot in the star of these houses indicating some troubles and obstacles to the lagna, right? And similarly, fifth house is the lagna of the child. These houses counted from the fifth house, if they are present, they will cause obstacles in conception and retention of the pregnancy. They will cause obstacles and hurdles in the retention of the pregnancy, because that child will, the native can have some conception. It will support for the conception. Sometimes it will not possible for, it will not be strong enough to retain the pregnancy. It will immediately, it can cause the miscarriage or abortion, because these houses are unfavorable. Along with that, if you see, second house to the fifth house is sixth house. Sixth house is for the lagna, it is indicating some disease or health issues. And the second house is maraga to the fifth house. It is also joining hands with this. Then it will favor for the abortion or miscarriage. If Maraga and Badaga Lord houses to the Lagna of the fifth house, fifth cusp is falling in which sign? If it is Chara, Stira, or Ubaya, so accordingly the Badaga Lord will vary. If Badaga houses or Maraga houses are also signified along with the unfavorable houses, it indicates threat to the health or longevity of the child. This can lead to abortion or weak health or longevity of the child. Suppose the child is born. That you have to keep it in mind. Depending on the signification, it will vary. The role of Ketu, Saturn, Mars, along with the unfavorable houses to the progeny, these houses will aggravate the unfavorable condition, because these Ketu, Saturn, they are all abortive planets. Ketu is abortive planet strongly. So if these unfavorable houses is signified by these planets also, it can lead to such miscarriage or abortion. I think you're able to understand. Now the next one is adoption. If the fifth cuspal lord or fifth cuspal sublord and Jupiter are signifying favorable houses along with the unfavorable grouping of houses, but not having the support of the favorable key planets. Suppose if you check all 9 planets, there can be 1 or 2 strong favorable key planets. The fifth cuspal sublord in the star and sub of favorable key planet, it will favor for the progeny. If the star lord, sublord are unfavorable and without any favorable key planet, at least in their supports, if they are not influencing, that unfavorable strength will be strong. It will not favor for the progeny. Suppose fifth cuspal sublord is having mixed signification, both favorable and unfavorable, but it is not having the favorable key planets in the rulers or in supports also, it is not strongly influencing. Especially the favorable key planets are not ruling any of the level, then favorable key planets are not there. It indicates troubles and obstacles in progeny, but can support for the adopting a child so that they will have a child in the family. It means fifth cuspal sublord is talking about second house, 11th house. It is supporting for fifth house, child is coming to the family. It is supportive. Along with it, it is also having 4th house, 10th house, 6 and 12, not supportive for the progeny on their own. And the favorable key planets also not playing one of the ruler, or they are not giving support to the star lord and sublord. Absence of the favorable strong key planet, if they are present, they can support for such they can delay, but they can favor for that pregnancy with the help of the medical support. But here that favorable key planets impact also not there, unfavorable also strongly present, all depending on the strength of the unfavorable houses also. Even I have discussed one chart in the example charts also, that you can go through, that you will understand practically. And absence of the favorable key planet support and presence of both favorable and unfavorable, it indicates troubles and obstacles. But because of these second house, 11th house, the two Jupiter also supportive. Jupiter also is supportive with the signification, and also Jupiter is aspect into the second house or fifth house in the natal chart. It also support for such addition in the family. So in that case, if when that dasa period is also supportive, that native can adopt a child so that they will have a child in the family. I think you are able to understand these rules on this. Now let us check the others. Pregnancy with the help of the medical support like IVF, in vitro fertilization. Normally, for 2 reasons, medical assistance are required. One is if the destiny planet is signifying mixed significations, unfavorable more than favorable, and not completely detrimental, or can be under the influence of unfavorable key planets, it can support for progeny with medical assistance. It means what? Suppose fertility treatment can be required. So there will be some weakness, and so that with the medical assistant or medical treatment or fertility treatment, it can support for the progeny. The reason can contain health issues related to the internal productive organs and their functions. That is one thing. Medical assistant, it means medical support by way of treatment. Sometimes destiny will be signifying supportive signification, but with some obstacles. But the running dasa periods may be having strong unfavorable key planets in its rulers and causing strong obstacles. In such cases, progeny with the help of medical assistant may be required. It means what? Destiny will be signifying supportive significations, but with some obstacles will be there. Sometimes destiny will have mixed significations with strong obstacles, and the favorable key planets supports will be comparatively lesser. So it means in general, if the destiny is indicating mixed significations, then in the running dasa also supportive for that, but unfavorable key planets are having more. You can see dasa are having more unfavorable key planets in the rulers, then causing strong obstacles. In such condition, progeny with the help of the medical assistant. What is medical assistant? Here also medical assistant by way of treatment or by way of IVF, in vitro fertilization. It means by nature that that mother will not be able to conceive or retain the I said no, the misconception or retention of the fetus or strong trouble in the conception. It can happen if there is any issue with the health issues of the for the mother, right? Because of the unfavorable key planet significations. In such cases, what will happen? So by the advanced technique, medical assistance can be just with medical treatment for fertility, as I discussed, or can be IVF, in vitro fertilization, depending on the severity or necessity. What is IVF? IVF means making that ovum and the ovum of the mother and wife and the sperm of the husband, they are being made fertilized outside the body in the laboratory. So it is when the fertilization is happened, that when the fertilized things happen, that embryo is being implanted in the uterus of the uh, wife. So that way, fertilization is not happening inside the body, it is happening outside the body, but it is being implanted in the mother's uterus. So that fertilized thing is being implanted so that the growth of the child is going to happen in the mother's uterus. So IVF, in vitro fertilization process, can be done in the favorable or supportive dasa bhuktī periods and supportive transit. But there can be many planets with the unfavorable significations or mixed signification in their rulers, which cause the delay and obstacles. Finding favorable DBA could be a task for the medical assistant sometimes, because some cases will be simple. Some cases will be having many planets will have such unfavorable significations or mixed significations. So then in that, finding the DBA could be a task. What we have to do, we have to check which are the comparatively better period with the favorable key planets are ruling in the dasa. That favorable key planet of the destiny should be playing role in the dasa, and other favorable key planets, and bhuktī also should be free from the unfavorable key planets of the destiny. So all these things we have to check, and we have to select those planets for the IVF process. The DBA periods ruled by comparatively better planets and influenced by the favorable key planet in supports can be selected for IVF process. The role of strong favorable key planet of the chart and the favorable key planets of the dasa in the bhuktī and in the antra, in the ruler or in supports of the primary levels can be supportive. It means what? The dasa bhuktī and antra, when you are selecting, that bhuktī and antra should be free from unfavorable key planets, important the primary rulers. And if they are having favorable key planets of the dasa and destiny in the rulers, or in the rulers it can have favorable key planets, and strong favorable key planets are there in supports also will be supportive. I think you are able to understand. The important key planets with the second house or 11th house signification and Jupiter's favorable transit will be preferred. I think you are able to understand. So even I have discussed a few cases on the IVF also in the examples study. So when you are going the practical cases, you will also understand better. Now, next one is troubles in child growth during pregnancy. This is an important topic. We have to keep it in mind. Normally, when we are studying the destiny, we are focusing on the whether destiny is promising despite some obstacles with the help of the favorable K planet supports, whether it is getting strained so that it can, with the medical assistant, it can favor for the pregnancy and delivery. Everything is fine. But during this process, even in the previous one point also I was telling, if the fifth cuspal sublord is signifying trouble leaving houses to the lagna of the child, then automatically it is indicating some sort of trouble is indicated to the longevity or the health of the child, right? So you can see when the destiny is signifying unfavorable significations for the lagna of the fifth house, especially 4, 8, 12, 10, 6, 10 houses along with the Badaka house, conception has to be taken during the favorable Dasa Bhuti Antara period. This is most important. Destiny can have some mixed significations, but that conception should be taken in the favorable period without the strong influence of the unfavorable key planet which are influencing the destiny. If it is there, then it is supportive. Otherwise, it can give trouble to the lagna. Hence, we have to find these unfavorable key planets in a chart. If the destiny planet and also the Dasa lords are under the influence of these unfavorable key planets, as a directly as a ruler will be stronger and or indirectly as influencing through the supports. We need to be careful in conception period. In simple terms, we can say, find the unfavorable key planets in the chart and find the unfavorable key planets which are influencing the destiny. If they are all unfavorable, strongly present, along with the supports, if it is present, it is supportive for the pregnancy, right? But if the unfavorable key planets are influencing the Dasa period, those unfavorable houses are trouble living houses to the Lagna, then we need to be careful that conception should not take place in the Dasa Bhuti, which are having the unfavorable key planets in their rulers or by their supports. Influenced by the unfavorable key planets should not be playing a role. Suppose at the time of conception, if the periods are signifying these unfavorable houses, there can be expected some troubles and problem in the conception, right? Suppose if the conception is taken place with the help of that medical treatment or sometime with the favorable key planets are also playing role, if it can support for the conception because of the support of the favorable key planets. But if the conception is also taken place during the favorable periods, during such periods which are under the influence of these unfavorable key planets of the destiny, can lead to troubles in the health of the fetus or troubles in the growth of the fetus during the pregnancy. During the pregnancy period, the conception is taken place in one Bhuti and Antara, which are also having unfavorable key planets which are influencing the destiny. Then what will happen? The conception would have taken place because of the help of the favorable key planets, but during that pregnancy period of say 8-9 months period, the growth of the fetus can get disturbed because that embryo, that conception taken place in the unfavorable, that initiation started in the unfavorable, so that will be further supported by the unfavorable planets which are running next one Andhra, the next Andhra. If that is also unfavorable, that during that period which are the organs are going to get developed, that will be into trouble. So that we have to keep it in mind. So the health of the fetus or troubles in the growth of the fetus during the pregnancy, depending on the role of the planets that are signifying or afflicted by these unfavorable significations, the problems in the growth of in respect to those organs can be expected. For example, Mercury, Moon are involved, there can be troubles in the growth of the nervous system and brain developments, etc. If Saturn, Sun are involved, Sun is also important planet for the Sun and Mars also important planet for the brain development, but Mercury is for importantly for the nervous development. And Sun and Saturn are important planets for the bones, right? So it can indicate problem in the skeleton or bone developments, etc. So then during that period, if these planets are signifying those signification, that organs will have defects. In such condition, conception is to be avoided in such dasa, buddhi, antha periods. When the delivery also happens at the unfavorable period to the fifth house, the child will face problem in the delivery and also in its health condition. This we have to keep it in mind. I have also discussed one or two cases in the example charts in respect to this. That will be more useful. Please kindly go through that. Hence, we have to check the destiny and examine at the periods during these two phases, that is conception and delivery, and advise the couple accordingly if the pregnancy is to be avoided during the period. If you feel that destiny is having weakness, destiny indicating favorable houses, along with that unfavorable houses to the lagna of the child, that fifth cusp is supportive houses present. Along with that, it is having strong unfavorable houses to the lagna of the child, and Maraga Badaga houses, unfavorable other key planets are influencing that fifth house. It is indicating weak health issues to the lagna, that is fifth house, and longevity also can be into trouble. So if longevity is into trouble, automatically it can lead to abortion or miscarriage. Or that child, when it is born, that child also cannot have the good longevity. So, but when that planet, the fifth sublord is having favorable significations to some extent and unfavorable houses, but not indicating strong Maraga Badaga houses, but is indicating obstacle causing to the development of the organs or the health of that child. It can lead to some underdevelopment during that period. Dasa also it is indicating such signification. During that period, if the conception is taken place in the, importantly, the Bhukti Lord in which that conception is taken place, if it is having such signification and Antra also supported to that, so the conception can take place, but organ development, important things, whatever during the gestation period, all the organ development has to happen, that will have some problem and malfunctions can happen at that. After the delivery, the child will be born, but it will have some sort of defects internally or externally. It will have the defects that has to be avoided. So being an astrologer, we have to check all these things and advise them. Having a child is not a good thing. It's not a big thing. That is also a big thing only. But more than that, having a healthy child, and it is good for both the family and also for the child. That we have to keep it in mind. I think we're able to understand the important points whatever discussed. And now in the next videos we will discuss on the example charts. So we'll meet in the next video. Good luck.